81% of land habitats in the EU are in a bad conservation status, and which increases land emissions and hinders removal's permanence.
We looked more inwards into internal EU policies. We'll look in the global context. We know that the European Green Deal is a blueprint for transformative change. However, it faces significant criticism and challenges on the global stage. And one major challenge is the geopolitical tension it creates.
How the Lisbon strategy and Europe 2020 were phases of transition to the European Green Deal being this first EU growth strategy, being led in a way that is akin to the EU functioning as a Catholic state.
Trust to both political institutions and non-governmental organizations was perceived as declining.
Climate policies are deployed. They're not falling on an empty canvas, on an empty landscape. They are arriving into an existing society with existing laws and existing policies. And that needs to be somehow taken into account.
There are so many more topics that can be addressed with regards to energy justice. So think of infrastructure debates, think of employment and workers who are being affected by this.
And it's interesting to try to renew the way we are approaching the economy and economic action to kind of grasp a bit more what's going on. And in terms of transparency, it's also quite useful, to have people look in all the different directions.
Climate tunnel vision refers to the fact that climate became the proxy for discussions and action on all environmental challenges. This with a tendency to focus on greenhouse gases emissions and the climate crisis rather than making a holistic assessment of the systemic issues that drive the environmental crisis. This is translated by a normative focus on climate in the European Green Deal and in land use regulations.
There are groups emerging which feel disadvantaged in face of the requirements, in face of the EU climate law, Fit for 55 package, and we see that the farmers are protesting, we see that the car industry is not satisfied.
So it's not only about target setting and designing specific instruments, but also checking how is this going to be actually received by societies at large.
For those young people, opportunities to go beyond the curriculum, go beyond the lectures, go beyond the workshops they are having in the program, and to create for them a space and for encountering people who normally are not part of the educational pathway here in the college.
The German government believes that hydrogen produced with nuclear energy cannot be classified as green hydrogen, whereas the French government says yes.
Von der Leyen, when she announced the European Green Deal, she mentioned this is the new EU growth strategies.
The EU should collaborate with the Western Balkans for market integration, to provide financial and technical assistance for carbon pricing, since we didn't have this before, and to support the development of renewable energy infrastructure.
There has been a marked downfall in manufacturing employment in most advanced economies, and it does not only apply to the US, but also to other export-oriented economies such as Japan and Germany.
The Green Deal has an important role to play in the Arctic, because the fact that the EU wants to become climate neutral by 2050, the fact that the EU has implemented the European climate law, they can have the biggest impact on how the EU can effectively mitigate Arctic climate change.
So I was thrilled to be invited to be part of the conference and also to be on the scientific committee for the proceedings of the conference, which will be an edited book. I think it's really amazing that this is a student-driven initiative. The atmosphere, the questions, the engagement of the students is something really remarkable.
And this is great, to see this kind of vision which is going from students, and also this is another reason why I'm here, just to profit from them on the daily basis. A year ago, they have already asked and requested to have a conference on the revision of the Green Deal. A year ago, a year before the protests of farmers started, a year before the contestation of the Green Deal started at the European level. So they proved to be much more visionary than I am.